All right, guys. Well, good afternoon to everyone. How's everything? Joe, look like I've been listening to you all day long. I've been watching that video that we did, 4 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been hearing your voice all day long.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I remember that moment. That's
Yeah,
when we went. That's when we went from. That was the first one.
that was,
Before we went to Fishbowl.
yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
was one of those. That was one of those good old times that
Oh
we
yeah.
had together. Yeah. Well,
Oh
how's
yeah.
everybody doing tonight? It is Thursday night for our Singles Let's Talk. I hope everybody's been doing well today. Mrs. Shelley, how are you doing tonight, love?
Hey everybody, I'm doing good. I just got in the door, so I'm gonna be on there in just a minute, but
All right.
I'm excited.
Okay, good deal, good deal.
Yes,
Mrs.
ma'am.
Cheryl, how are you tonight?
I am good.
You
How
ready?
is everyone? Yeah.
Good, good, good. Mrs. Camille, I see she's already on the line. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Oh, we're good.
Doing good.
Welcome, welcome.
Mrs. Robin, Miss Robin Boone, how are you tonight, love?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Look, I'm getting ready for my my daughter and her family are coming here tomorrow. So I'm in here getting ready. So I'll be off and on the camera.
Okay, I understand.
But I wanted to be here.
Thank
All right.
you for coming out and supporting. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
All right.
Miss Tracy Hill, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Still
Good.
muddling through some allergy stuff, but getting ready to head back to Dallas this Saturday. We're doing another video, I think 2 more videos, and we're doing a photo shoot for 2 more singles for the next upcoming album.
Good.
Oh, okay.
Y'all rocking and rolling over there.
Yeah, we done about, I think this is about our 5th or 6th one.
Okay. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tune in again. I was tuning in with y'all at first when it first started, and I hadn't had a chance to in a while. I may have to wait till the album comes out.
Yeah, we'll be putting it up and blasting it out there for people to buy it on iTunes and all that good stuff.
Okay, cool.
Good.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Mrs. Tamara, how are you doing tonight? Ms. Tamara McClinton.
Hello. Well, still kind of, I'm still working, multitasking, but I'm like, okay, I'm at least here as much as I can, then finally join on like
Okay.
be on video. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all coming in so timely tonight. I appreciate that. Mrs. Tina, how are you doing tonight? We really, really enjoy you joining in with us. I've been seeing you joining in for the last couple of weeks. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm just glad to join in and get this good information.
Nice. Good deal. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Mrs. Katambra Jeffries, how are you tonight? Katambra may be rolling, y'all.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I'll be going in and out, probably traveling. So glad to be here.
All right, nice. Glad to have you on tonight. And Mrs. Fabiola is trying to connect in now. Mrs. Fabiola, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very well, thank you. How's everyone?
Doing good, doing good. Oh, I love seeing y'all here tonight and ready for another great week. What did y'all think about last Thursday night? Y'all know we just can't leave that alone. What y'all think about last Thursday night? No comments?
I listened to it, oh my God, at least 5 times now, because every time I listen to it, I hear something that I missed before.
Yeah.
It was, that was a word. Like, I think I wrote a response to it on YouTube, and you said we're going to be chewing on it for a long time. That is the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just a different way to look at life, from the male perspective. Most of the time we hear women on here. Mr. Joe tried to throw himself in there with us from time as often as he can, but for the most part, we're women on here and we chat about how we feel about things, but it felt good to hear the male's perspective. I mean, you didn't have to agree with it completely, but it was good to hear the male point of view from that, from that side though. So anybody else, what were your thoughts? Mr. Joe, what were your thoughts behind it all, with the conversation last week?
Well, it's, again, it's always good to hear another voice, a male voice in all of it. And to me, he was on point on pretty well everything. I think hearing it from another male, as you say, and from that whole situation, I think there was growth on all that was part of that. Even himself as the facilitator, he even said in the message, in the time, that he got better from that. This pushes him back to a situation he had kind of fallen away from in his own teaching. So I think we were a benefit to him.
Yeah.
And he was a benefit to us. And when we come together, all the mysteries come in.
Yeah.
It's things that he said that, or maybe we said something and he said, But the mysteries come together, and out of that, I think we all will be better. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, that's what I love too. I was listening to the replay from the singles call. It wasn't even a singles call, it was a relationship call that Mr. Joe, Faith, and Alvino, our radio team did, but that was April 21st, 2018, 4 years ago. And Joe, it was amazing. Some of the conversations that y'all were having was right on target with what we talk about in this room, and just hearing the different perspectives, and then it was a place to where we even agreed to disagree, whether we were, that was the way we would have did things or whatever. But that's what we come together for, is to collaborate and talk and, just to hear another sound or whatever. I appreciate it. I love, and anytime, I think what blessed my heart was when we got off of the call and Shelley talked about how it had blessed even Andrew's life so much and really sparked him once again, to get going. That's what blessed my heart, because sometimes we never know what people are going through. And, we don't know what may have pushed the person back at one time or another. And then, just to know that their prayers are being answered, and and it's being answered in a strange place, in a place that he knew nothing about. These people, he probably would have never known that coming to this place. First of all, he would have never known that his sister got ushered into a program. His sister got involved in the program. Here it was, almost 2 years later, his sister would invite him to the program, and then the program would even bless him along the way. You just never know the steps of God and how the Lord goes about doing things. And when that happens to us, when I tell you, job well done, God, the Bible says one plants, one waters, but God gives the increase with it all. We don't know. We don't know what's going to grow up from that seed. Miss Shelley, tell us your feelings as to, after the call was over with, just to hear your brother talking. You said that you had heard him minister, many, many times, but you hadn't heard him minister on that level. What was going through your mind at that time?
Wow. My brother hasn't preached in so many years, because of life and him just trying to build his business and trying to, do so many things that he, I wouldn't say straight away, but he just kind of went in a different direction. And so for very long time, I know the power of my brother's ministry, and I know the gift that he has. And I missed it. I missed being underneath it and hearing him, and just hearing the word of God in a masculine way, or from a male perspective. So for me, I was just in shock. I think I just couldn't imagine that my brother still had it. He still had it. And I don't know if a lot of you guys have been around preachers and ministers. When they preach a powerful message, or a message that is from the spirit, and they're tapping into that spirit, it's draining, physically, mentally. So after the call, me and my brother did have a chance to talk, and it was just, he was so drained. He was so overwhelmed and crying, and he just was so excited for this ministry and what we're about. He felt at home, and I think that was one of the things that was his thing, that he said, you're at home, you're okay, you're gonna be okay. Just take your time, sit back, like she said, Miss Marilyn said, listen, pay attention to everything that she does. The same thing that he was preaching about with Naomi and Ruth. Just be quiet, just watch what she does, see how she does her thing, and just take those steps. Don't try to jump in and change things and do anything. Just take your time, watch her. Be a Naomi. If she needs you, she needs you. She doesn't, just sit back. And so I took that to heart, because I'm a takeover spirit. I want to jump in and I got this, I know how to do this, I'll do this, but this is such a precious ministry, such a precious gift, that you don't want to rush it, and you don't want to put it in the wrong hands.
That's right.
And so I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to do anything wrong. So I took my brother's word very, very, very strong. And I think a lot of us, I've gotten so many DMs and text messages and phone calls from so many other women that I haven't heard from, that wanted to just confirm all the things that my brother had said, and that he blessed them. So I just want to, when we get our facilitators on here, pray for them, because it's a very hard task when we are asked to minister from our hearts, from where what we are taught or what we know and what we learn, and try to encourage others in the same field or in the same walk of life that we're going through. So it's not easy. We're not going to get it all right. We're not going to say things that you probably agree with, like Ms. Marilyn was saying. But at the same time, it's our heart, and we have to respect that. That's our heart. That's the way we are. So
that's right.
It was just like I said, I'm to this moment, I'm still getting messages from people.
That's great.
So I really appreciate this ministry, and I want to just take, not take it for granted, and just take my time with it, and just enjoy every moment. Everyone that's on this call, hear the rebroadcast. Don't take it for granted. You might see 10 people on here, 12 people on here. Trust me, this ministry is going to bless you. It starts with a few. It always starts with a few.
That's right.
That's all I have to say.
Well, I tell you, I agree with that. One of the things that I remember doing, even when I was, getting groomed for ministry, I had to sit back a long time. I had to sit back. I know almost 20 years sitting back, sitting up under, other individuals, because I wanted to make sure to do it right. Because when you're ministering to the lives of others, you have people in your hands. And, a lot of times when I get on here, it's not that I always feel like being here or whatever the case may be, but when you make a vow to God, that's the first thing. You give God a yes in your spirit. There has to be a why in you to begin with.
That's right.
And once you give God a yes in your spirit, it costs you something. Showing up on time, it costs you something. Doing your research, it costs you something. Sometimes you won't be able to you won't have the opportunity to go to dinner with people like you want to, or, really your life does not become your own anymore once you start ministering.
That's right.
And only a few are going to survive because some people are going to say that, I don't have that kind of time to be doing all of that kind of stuff. Well, you're not ready for ministry.
No, you're not.
And anytime you're dealing with the people of God, you're dealing with ministry here. So I don't fault anybody if they back out. And I mean that from my heart, because I know it costs you something to do it, and sometimes I look at individuals and I'm like, shoot, I know what they feel like. Don't want to show up. Don't want to show up, all of that. But I said, Lord, that's for me. I know it's a calling within me. So I'm just grateful for all of you that show up every Thursday night and get involved in the conversation. And I always say showing up is going to be half the battle here. So But we are ready for another. Go ahead, Joe. Yes, sir.
No, I was just gonna say one quick point on what you're saying there. And I think this too, Merlin, if I may say this, you know, we have to understand, and I've said it before, you don't live on a cross, you die on a cross.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, when you pick up a cross, you begin to die. Die to yourself and you die to, so that what that means, you are going against the grain. And when you're going against the grain, it's always uphill and it's always hard. But we have to remember who we're doing this for.
Yeah.
And where we weak, we can call on him or we can squeeze his hand, because his is so much bigger than ours. And I just, you know, it is. Salvation is free, but it costs you. It's just that simple. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? But y'all, I'll tell you something. There's no other place I'd rather be.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, when I tell you no other place, because the way that the Lord blesses me sometimes, you know, it's like, oh, I remember that seed. Oh, I remember that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when you said to forgive. Oh, I remember when you said turn the other cheek. Oh, I remember when you said leave that alone.
Yeah.
These are the rewards that come back from that. So my prayer is that even as we move forward on tonight, that you guys will, you know, offer up your sacrifice, you know, your time, your words, your input, all of that. And just know that God is catching it all, and it is seeds that are going into the ground for something that you need, that you know not of right now. So, well, we're going to get started. I'm going to ask Miss Shelley if she'll open us up in prayer, and then we're going to get moving on. We're going to have conversations around masculinity tonight. Conversations. And I think we got all the right girls in the house to talk about why we so masculine all the time.
All the time.
But it's gonna be good. Michelle, if you'll open us up in prayer.
All right, all heads bowed, eyes closed. Father God, we just thank you once again for bringing us here another Thursday night. We adore you. We magnify your name tonight. We honor you with our words, with our hearts, with our stories, with our testimonies. And Father God, let us be able to speak our truth freely, openly, in a safe place, in a safe space, and just allow the Spirit to take over tonight, Lord. We ask these things in your name only. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Well, tonight we've got a couple of guests that's going to be kind of conversating in with us. They're not really guests, they're family, but you don't really hear from them all the time. And they're going to be joining in with me with conversation as we talk about masculinity and what that actually means to us as we deal with relationships, as we, you know, just maneuver through life. Because truth be told, life is not easy. You know,
That's right.
Many of us have walked a single parent life for a while, or we even came from a household where there may have been one parent. And then some of us came from households where it was two parents, but it looked like you were one parent in the house, you know, and sometimes we heard some sounds in the house that we were not sure of. We didn't always find our true direction, a solid direction from it. We just kind of took what was given to us and we walked out on it until we tripped over something and realized, okay, that might not have been the right thing to do over there, and we made the adjustments as we went along. So many of us have had to pick up mantles in life as it related to taking charge, taking control. And then there was a movement that even took place where, you know, it was the women's rights and, you know, and I think a lot of that came into place, you know, because I think during that time, there were a lot of men that had, you know, maybe gone out to war or whatever, and the ladies were having to come in and take care of things that the men were not able to do. See, there's a reason for a lot of things. It wasn't that they wanted to take control in those areas, but sometimes they had to stand up in positions for a little while until, you know, their spouses could come back or whatever. And then unfortunately, some of the spouses did not make it back, or if they came back, they were wounded. And so sometimes the woman still had to stay in place to where, you know, she had to make sure that the kids were taken care of, making sure finances were coming in the home. It was just a lot. And I don't believe that was God's original intention for us, but we learned some extra skills along the way. And sometimes we wish we hadn't learned because we don't know how to turn it off, you know, because I really believe in my heart that it has been a part of survival for us, that, you know, if you ever got put in a position to where it looks like your livelihood had been challenged, or something had come up against you, you don't forget what you remember. You don't forget having to stand in the welfare line and, you know, asking other people to help you through things. And then one day you just vow that I'm never going back to that welfare line again, because they talk to you like a dog and treat you like you ain't nothing and go through your full bank account. So now women have gotten to the place where it says, you know what, I'll take charge of this matter and do something different for me and my children so that we can make a living. I don't think it was anything personal toward anybody. I think it was a survival movement, you know, and so some of us have been caught up into that era because I don't think it ever stopped. You know, it was just passed on. But what we are trying to do here in the singles ministry is to not go further with things that we don't need to hold on to if there is a better way. So I want to kind of open up the floor. I want to start with my brother Joe, first of all. And Joe, what are your thoughts even about, you know, sometimes women having to step in those positions, you know, maybe if your mother was one of those, and, you know, what that looked like to you, how that shaped you as a man, and, you know, how your even interest toward supporting other women may have come out of that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, Joe?
Yes, I sure can, you know, and to say this, Merlin, sometimes we don't land on Plymouth Rock. Sometimes Plymouth Rock lands on us. And as mothers, and I was under that myself, along with, you know, I did have my grandfather and my uncles. So, but I learned a lot. Just, it was times of just myself and my mom as I grew older, you know, going to church or singing in the choir together, all those things and all that upbringing under her gave me a sense of respect for a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, the ultimate respect. I said, you know, part of her hair, comb it and get the dandruff out. I've talked about that before, but in all of that, she's talking to me. She said, Harold this, Harold that, or yada, yada. You know, this different conversation. But again, when I reflect back to all of that, you can't forget the gardeners of your heart.
Yeah.
And for sure, I'm reminded, I never forget that. It's heartwarming now because I see myself, I remember, and I'm not gonna make this long, but I remember this. I remember even the time my mom was passing when I was in the room alone with her. And I saw my face on her. And even to that, I was, after a part of me had to let her go and she had to let me go, I was good. But what I'm saying, that is, I think that's important to a man to understand that. And I think sometimes when men have something against their mothers, they grow up with an anger in them, whether it was the mother was having men coming in and out or whatever. But I never was under that because, you know, it's just, I think my mother was smarter, and not that she would do those things, but I think sometimes women don't understand what they're doing when they sons seeing men constantly going in and out of their household. And it truly messed them up for later, but they don't really have a sense, or they take the anger out on, you bleed on people that didn't cut you.
Yeah.
So to answer your question in some form or fashion, I had that part, but I had the masculine part because I was always around my grandfathers and uncles, and those are gardeners of my heart. So I pretty well got the best of both worlds, even though my father wasn't there due to other circumstances. But I did get the male perspective. I got the thought of what a man's supposed to do, work, ethics, you know. So those things ground me into the person I am today. Now, I take it forward because my relationship has increased in the thought and following the will of God by spending chunks of time with God to become the best person I can be and to help others. Because along the way, my mom used to help people. I would be like, we don't have a lot ourselves. You helping us over here, but I get it. I get it. But we was never without so much as far as it all comes back. It all comes back full circle. So I hope I'm tapping into what you were asking me. And that in itself, you know, again, and I know I'm repetitive in this, those values and a sense of the opposite sex and that respect brings me to the point of the man I am today. And again, let me say this, we can never forget the gardeners of our heart. They're gone, but they can still live. They can live within you. And that's kind of my perspective on that.
Yeah, that's good, Joe. We've been talking in our Dream Builders class about where is the origin of your love? Where did it all begin? And how many of you often wondered why Joe was so sensitive like he was toward women, and got a better understanding tonight as to why he's so supportive? Everybody has a story, you know, and especially when they do it from the heart. Most of the time it is because of the love they have for their mothers, you know. And on the flip side, Joe talked about how sometimes when men don't respect them, or I'm not going to say doesn't respect their mothers, they just have some challenging issues, you know. Maybe they didn't understand why mom did what she did, or why mom had different, you know, men hanging around, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes it caused them to form their own opinion. And not only was it against mom, but it was against other women also, you know, which caused it is somewhat of a disrespect, because it's not hard for them to call a woman out of their name. You know, I always say when it's easy for men to talk to women like that, it's because there's a disrespect for another woman that's around the way somewhere. Same way I say when you find women that don't like other women, I'm a firm believer that it has a lot to do with their mom, their relationship with their mothers as well. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. Let's open up the floor for conversation. How many of you know the origin of your particular love? Maybe why you behave like you do, and do you feel like you have more feminine qualities, more masculine qualities? Which would you say probably defines you more than anything in your own definition? Doesn't have to be anybody else's definition, in your own definition. Anybody want to start off there? Where is the origin of your love? Your behavior?
I'll start.
Come on, Miss Tina.
I'm gonna say this. Since I was raised in a single parent household, just my mom. My mom was never married. It's me and my brother. I remember having maybe 2 boyfriends or something at the most throughout my life, maybe 3. She may have had more than that. She just didn't bring them to the house. I don't know. But I was telling people, I know my mom loved me and my brother. Like, she cooked, she cleaned, she sacrificed, she raised us, whatever. But they always say me and my brother are totally different. But I don't remember my mother saying a lot of I love yous. It was more action. I bought y'all this, I gave you this, I cook meals, you come home from school, your meals ready. Like, I seen that. Like, when maybe like my cousins, them mother they always used to say, we're gonna come over your house, Tina, because your mom, blah, blah, blah. And my mom, she be in the street, she don't never be at the, they don't do things, but my mother did. But she still never said, I love you a lot. But she would just do, but never really, here, baby, it was never that strong, I in my arms, in your arms kind of love, but I knew she loved me. So I think now, when I got older, like me and my daughter, I kind of voice I love to both of my kids. I just tell them I love them all the time. So they for sure they'll know. Now I know my mom loved me. I know without a doubt, but she didn't voice it. She just showed it a lot. Now with my kids, I tell them and I try to show them. And then I always go back also and tell them all the time that I'm not perfect. I know I'm making some mistakes. I may don't know what they are, but I know I'm not perfect. I'm just doing the best I can so they'll understand. So, different things. But I don't believe that I was told a lot when I was young that I love you. I love you. My father wasn't in my life, so it was just my mom. And that's a whole different story, So the man, I love you, getting it from a male, I didn't get that when I was growing up. I didn't get that at all. I didn't start getting that till I got grown and started dating. And guess what? Was those really the right I love yous?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, okay, now I have to figure out this thing with the men. Well, do he really love me? Because this is, because I don't know what the male side look like. I just kind of know what the woman side look like of a I love you. So I think that's where mine come from, where I'm sometimes like, oh, is this love? Am I showing the right love? Is this love? Is this person love me for real? So
did you have a challenge showing that in relationships, Tina?
No, I don't. You know what? I might do now, but I think my mom would say when I was coming up, I was quiet. Like everybody always said, Tina, you so quiet. You don't speak a lot. But now I speak a lot. So I don't think I had a challenge showing that I love, because my mom, I would say I was a giver. I'm a giver, you patient, you whatever. I'm not like that anymore. I think life and burn me. But she always say, you the good child, you sweet, you patient, you never give me any problems, But I think now I might not be as open with my love besides to my kids.
Yeah.
You feel like you're a little bit hard now, Tina?
Yeah, because I feel like now I got this, I gotta dot my I's, cross my T's. I don't know if this love or not. Okay, if it's okay for me to love this deep, okay, if I'm loving this deep, let me protect myself. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, I love Tina's taking us right into our conversation tonight. Do y'all see how she shifted and changed?
Yeah.
You started out one way in life, distrust, not hearing the words I love you, not having the mail in the house. And she started picking up her own method of what that meant. So to the point to where it got hard of lifting that stuff, and now a veil. And y'all see as she was talking how the veil got put up on her heart. Sometimes it'll be hard for you to really love because you don't know what love looks like. You don't know what love feels like. Anybody else want to piggyback off of that? Let's just talk tonight. Yes. Let's just follow that flow with that conversation. Anybody else can pick up where Tina left off at.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hey, Katambra.
Hello. So I can totally relate to Tina in regards to the different tones of love. Although I grew up in a single parent household, my father was around, but he was not emotionally available. I grew up in a household with 5 other women because I had 5 older sisters and then my mother included. So I saw various versions of femininity, various versions of masculinity demonstrated in women. And I kind of picked up and put down what I wanted to. So I learned very early on my sisters had different personalities and different attitudes, and I saw how they handled similar situations, but in a different way. Sometimes it would benefit them and sometimes it would not. So I learned that as well as a trait, and then just watching my mother deal with different men. And so I had one of those households where there were always men in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, whether it was for my mother or for an older sister. It was just a lot of men in and out my home life as a child. And then my father being in and out, in and out, in and out. Always a good provider, always a good disciplinarian, always there when I was stuck in a rock and a hard place. But as Tina said, not there emotionally. So I learned how to put that face on men in relationships. So that was initially when I was younger, what I was drawn to. Either whether I was emotionally unavailable myself, or I just knew how to accept and deal with emotionally unavailable men. It took, I guess, being just made over and just getting separated from all of those things, seeing something different when I went to a different environment, and truly learning to understand what love is from a biblical aspect. I had to change my definition, and I had to unlearn a lot of what I labeled as love. Like money, gifts, taking care of me, come answer my calls or something as simple as that was what I call demonstrations of love, because that is what I saw my sister saying, what I saw my mother saying, and that was just the definition that I picked up. And then being a provider is just what I saw my father saying. And when I had to come to terms with being in a relationship and finding myself being, I guess, what we call in love for the first time, I know now that wasn't true love. It was a version or a form of love that I thought was acceptable because that was what I was taught. And so I would say for a majority of my life, I walked in, there was a lot of femininity about me as far as the outward appearance. I knew how to dress it up. I knew how to put get my girly on. But in my being, I was very masculine, because first, being molested, I didn't have a protector. So I learned how to protect and defend myself. Secondly, being that as a wild child and leaving home at an early teenage, I had to learn how to protect and survive in the streets. So there had to be a certain strength about me. Being in prison, I had to learn how to hide and mask my emotions to survive the environment. And so just the life that I had lived in my earlier years, I really had to walk in a lot of masculine energy. I had to put on a girl look to attract the guys, but I was very much masculine and dominating in my personality and in my being. And just now in my later years have I learned that there's strength in femininity, but you don't have to be dominant. Right. Hearing and I'm learning that now, that I don't put down my masculinity, even in the trucking industry. I kind of have to carry it forward a little bit just to be an entrepreneur. But in my femininity, I know that I am capable of doing all of these things that men are capable of doing, because I'm strong in my womanhood.
Amen.
Good.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And again, we see how these things mold and shape us into people that they're not really it's not really who we are. It's just that life has, has created some things, and, and then we get into relationships and it's like, we want to be feminine, but how do you get all that stuff off of you, And anybody else want to share? Thank you, Katambra. Anybody else? Let's go to our guest, Mrs. Camille, on tonight. Camille, what would you say has been the origin of your relationships? Just thinking back through life, and sometimes we wonder, where we picked up these mantles, where we pick up these hats, along the way. Where would you say the origin of yours is? Just you as a person. What was that like?
Okay. Hey everybody.
Hello.
Well, me being younger, my mom and my dad divorced when I was about 5. So my dad has always been around, no matter what. He paid child support, but he did everything besides child support. Child support wasn't, a big factor for my mom. So he picked me up from school, or his mom, which is my grandmother, picked me up from school, dinner on the table. We had all of that. My grandmother was a single woman. So she was a maid for an older white lady for years. And the white lady's husband was a doctor. So my grandmother raised her kids. So any hand-me-downs, any food, my grandmother brought it home to us. Everything in that situation was survival mode. That's kind of all we ever saw from my grandmother was survival. She didn't talk much about it. If she struggled, we didn't know she struggled. And I say that because I was with my grandmother so much, because my mom at the time, she worked 2 jobs. Anything she needed, my dad still made sure she was okay, whether they was divorced or not, but she didn't ask. So if he came by, he put money in the mailbox. He still did his manly things, and he was around 24/7. But one thing I can say, after growing up and realizing a lot of things, he loved me. I got love every day, but he didn't show me that side of, well, we never had conversations about relationships with men.
Yeah.
They were so big on fixing everything in my life, making sure if I did fall, they picked it up. So I really never had to fall, because they made sure if I was even getting close to it, they took care of it. So when I got into relationships with men, that's what I did. If I got with them and they didn't have much, or they wasn't up to standards where they should have been, I came in as a fixer. I wanted to make sure if he didn't have a car, he couldn't get the car fixed, I did it.
That's good.
If he didn't know how to do this or do that, I did it. So, and I think that caused me, a bad marriage from the beginning, because once I started fixing everything, when I needed him to do it, he didn't know what to do. If I got sick and didn't feel good, I got to call mama or daddy to come do it, because he really don't know what to do. Not saying so much I needed him to do anything with his hands. I don't have to have that, but I needed him to take that leadership role. But I took on it for so long, I enabled him as a man.
Yeah.
And then when I got into a relationship, the older I became, I wanted something different. So we started clashing. I started reading different things. You start seeing different things. You start talking to people about different things. And then you try to come in and we try to change a man that we've been with for 3 or 4 years. And when they don't change, then we're like, oh, I don't want to be with you no more. Like, I'm trying to make you now be who my father is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make you be that loving, kind man. If I need something, I need you to do it. And if I got to call my daddy every time I need it, now we got a problem.
Yes.
But when I met you, you didn't know what to do. And now I'm trying to change you. Yeah. So my only next thought at that time in my younger days, I wasn't thinking about talking to people, trying to figure out solutions. Here I am, 2023. So it got old, it got boring. I got a divorce. Yeah. And at that time, I didn't take time to myself. So basically, I got a divorce and I jumped back into something else, trying to heal what I was going through, and met somebody else the same exact way. Wow. But I met him coming into it, trying to mold him to what I wanted them to be. And I prayed for him to be what I wanted him to be, what I needed him to be. And God started sending me through things, testing me through all these bad situations to get the strength that I wanted, the strength that I needed. I had to go through those rough storms. And it took me a long time to get through them. But I still wanted him to be that man as my father that I saw, that stepfather that I saw, because my mom remarried when I was about 11. And my stepfather still today is just like my father. If I need something, they're going to do it. they teach my boys to be masculine men. I make sure that my sons, they open the door for me.
Yes.
When I walk in my house, I make sure that my boys know to ask me, how was my day? I make sure that on the weekends, we're not in front of video games all day. I need you to go outside, pick up the sticks. Daddy might have mowed the yard, but pick up the sticks or help him rake up those leaves. I just try to teach them to be those masculine men. And I'm just thankful to have positive men around my life that can show my kids, show my boys to be men. It's okay to have a little feminine energy because you've been around mama for so long. But I need you to know when you get with a woman, we got to have respect because that's all I know. And I want my boys to be the same exact way. So I grew up in a loving household. I grew up with loving parents. I did. But one thing I do wish that my father would have taught me is how to control those emotions with a man.
That's right.
Wow.
And I came in with such masculine energy. Do I regret it at times? I do. But would I change it at this point in my life? In a way I would, and in a way I'm glad God took me through it because it makes me be able to have more feminine energy today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to go on too long, but yeah, that's all.
That's
good.
good.
That's
That,
really
that
good.
that is good. She said quite a few things, having those conversations around men. And, as Camille's telling her story, I see things in picture format when people are talking. And I could see her literally creating an image in her mind of what love looks like.
Yes.
Not quite sure if they said it a lot, but love in their home seemed to have been demonstrated quite a bit. So a lot of times what we look for is the demonstration in another. If you love me, you'll do these things. Or if you love me and care about me, you'll do these things. And so much to the point to where when they don't do it, that emotion starts coming out called anger and frustration. And before we know it, we pick up a energy that may not be as conducive to being in a good relationship, all because we're working on an emotion that we know nothing about. I don't even know where the anger came from, but I know something is not right. But just having those conversations, okay, Faith, those conversations around it. Anybody else want to kind of share? She talked even about being a fixer. How many of you can identify with that? Being she came from a household where everybody she knew was fixing things, and then you get into the relationship and the first thing you want to do is fix everything with everybody. Anybody want to kind of share around that a little bit? Joe, what do you say? What do you think? I mean, can you identify with that one?
I can identify with it on the opposite side. And the thing Camille was saying is so true. There were times in relationships I was in where you wanted to be the fixer of it all. You tried to hold this whole thing together. You do the provider, you fix this, you fix that. You try to hold the totality of your environment in perspective that, you want this to work. You working on it mentally, physically, spiritually, but that doesn't mean that the other entity is doing that.
That's right.
So you may be trying to grow in this and that and work this and work and cover the bills and do all this, but they ain't trying to really grow or do any of that. So what you try to fix their inadequacies to make this whole picture look good. But in essence, it's a fake picture because you wear yourself out in that. Even though as a man, like I was saying earlier, you taught to be a provider. If there's an issue here, have we covered this, and all of that. And you will work because you understand that. A man is born to work. I mean, I was under that. And that is something that you don't give a second thought to if you under it. You just go do what you got to do. But sometime in that, as a giver and as a provider, you can wear yourself out. because you're trying to do everything. And when you try to do everything, you just spread yourself too thin, and then all of a sudden you thin. You like you're not getting those, you cannot do all that as a human being because you'll wear yourself out. And but you try to. So I can understand the opposite of what Camille was talking about. And it gets to a point though that you say, wait a minute now. Who am I? What's my name? You don't forgot who you are and all of that. And in some way you lose yourself in that. And you just wear yourself down. And to realize that you become something that you don't know who you are anymore because you're trying to fix this hole and it's kind of like being behind the white picket fence. Everything looks good from out, but inside you are dying daily because the picture is a facade. It's not real, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Joe, I really think that's what happens a lot of times when we're developing relationships with individuals, and man, do we try to put up a pretty picture. Yeah. We like to put up the prettiest picture we can find, and only to get in and have to be in the relationship for a while. And then what happens? All the covers get pulled back, because you can't, what they say, a zebra can't hide they stripes forever.
That's exactly right.
And then we desire relationships. Okay. Amen. Amen. We desire relationship with others, and it's like we don't know how to relate to them.
That's right.
Because we haven't even stopped to find out who we are. Yes. Why do you do what you do? We just go in with a helper's mindset and not stopping sometimes to ask the question from God, where do they need help at?
That's right.
Sometimes that's a hard place to go when your heart is so big and you want to help everybody out. But kind of like what Tina said, eventually you start putting a guard over your heart because you start helping people that don't necessarily know how to identify with that kind of help. And they become sometimes the abusers of help like that. And when you're at that point of life where you want to share your life with someone, you don't know who you can trust.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
I got so many faces on right now. I don't know where to trust, who to trust. I don't even know if I can trust myself. I want to talk to somebody that might be dealing with even the question in your own heart, can I trust me to love someone or to let somebody love me? Because I'm so confused as to who I am.
Wow.
Let's just pull the covers back tonight, because I'm trying to take us to a place called healing so that you can get what you need out there, because ain't no sense of you entangling up on a relationship and then you get in there 2, 3, 4 months later on and you say something being revealed. No, it just got uncovered. That's what happened. Anybody want to kind of talk on that particular one? Anybody? I know we're being vulnerable tonight, but it's in that place of vulnerability that healing takes place too in our lives.
I will speak on that, Coach. I won't necessarily say that I don't know who I know who I am in my singleness. I know who I am independent. But when it comes to healthy relationships or being in a relationship, that is where I find the difficulty in, I guess, who I am, or not necessarily who I am, but role I to play, and in that aspect. And then I do have to ask myself, being that I've not really seen healthy relationships lived out, how do I know what healthy is, and can I trust myself to know that this is healthy or this is unhealthy? And then again, how do I know if this is real love or if this is not love, if I've never truly known how to receive or give?
That's right. That's right. I love it. Anybody else? Thank you, Katamber. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah, I'll kind of talk on that one a little bit. You know, when you anytime that you embark upon relationships, really trying to really obtain the desires of your heart, you have to be ready, to encounter different situations, discovering what's inside of you, what you've learned along the way. And sometimes you can run up on some challenging situations that will pull back some layers on you, and it'll leave you asking yourself, where'd that come from? I think along the way, because I have had to wear so many different hats along the way, I think I still have a lot of femininity within me, but I got a fighter in me too. I have a fighter in me that I wish would never stand up. But sometimes when I feel like a threat is there some kind of way, or if there's something that comes up against me being who God has created me to be, sometimes the fighter comes back in. And no matter what, you try to suppress those things, you try to hold back, and sometimes God will let you know it's still some of that in there. And one of the things that I have learned to do over time is to be quick to hear.
Yes.
And slow to speak.
That's right.
Because I have to remember that I have memories still in my mind. I have some unresolved things in my mind.
Yes.
And anytime that you don't resolve an issue to the degree to where it is settled, it's still back there.
Yes.
And all it takes is something kind of striking against it at some point, and there will be a holler that'll come out of you, and somewhere along the way, God has to come in and teach us that quietness and confidence needs to be your strength. See, this is where the word of God comes in to help us when we get into situations like that, when we get into maybe hurtful times or whatever, because see, I have a desired goal. I have a desired end that I'm trying to get to. And sometimes it's very challenging to get to the end of a thing if I never let God come in and show me what did it say? Where'd you lay it? Where'd you lay that thing down at? Where'd you bury it at?
Yes.
And sometimes I have to go back and let the Lord take me back down memory lane. God, why am I real jumpy when it comes down to things like that? Or why am I to a place where something can send me to 10, whereas normally I'll stay on a 1 through 5. And there's certain situations that'll send me to 10. And I have to literally sit down and face those issues, because if I don't face it now, it's gonna pop up in a relationship later on. And then I'm gonna have to explain some things as to what happened that caused you to, throw that lamp across the house. Whatever. I don't throw stuff, but I'm just saying it could get to that degree if you don't take care of stuff. And I think sometimes many of us have some unresolved issues that are going on within us, which will later on say, well, you know what, I don't want a relationship. And what we really said is we don't want to be discovered. I think I'll keep that one to myself, and I don't want to be discovered nowhere along the way, So it just sometimes you have to thine own self be true. And take some quiet time in the presence of God so the Lord can reveal things to you. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 days, y'all, to settle down from a thing. And because you remember the Bible says the anger rests in the bosom of a fool. And anytime anger is residing in you, you got to know that it's something from your past that's trying to rise up.
That's right.
It ain't nothing in your future that's doing that to you. You ain't been in it long enough. Most of the time, it's something from your past that's trying to rise up. And we have to be on alert at all times to know that the Lord is healing.
Yes.
The Lord is passing by with blessings. And it may be my day that the Lord said, I want that out of you today. And sometimes we get challenged with relationships, and it's the relationships that reveal these things. And sometimes we pass it and sometimes we don't. Miss Shelley, what's going on in your mind over there? What's going on in your
this is good. I'm sorry. today I'm just not feeling well, this whole week I've just been having these migraine headaches. And I think it's because I had to break the fast. So
Yeah.
I had to break the fast because I just couldn't hang in there the last week. But that's between me and God. But just listening to everybody, I think I found myself in Tina, I found myself in Camille, I found myself in Katambra. And I think they all started off in layers. If I as I'm reading my notes of what Tina said, what stuck out to me was when she said, "Do they really love me?" When you're in relationships sometimes, and you're not used to the word love, or you're not used to being loved, you constantly have to ask yourself, "Is this love? Do they really love me?" So when she said that, that resonated a lot of thoughts, a lot of past, past hurts. When Katambra was mentioning all the women in her home had a lot of masculine energy and different personalities. That was definitely something that I grew up as a baby of 6 women. I just saw a lot of feminine outside appearance, but I did see a lot of masculine as well, because my father passed away so young that my mom just ended up being a single parent, raising us. And so we really didn't see a lot of, at least I didn't, because I was the youngest one, didn't see a lot of male energy in the home. And if I did, it came from the women, not from the men. But out of everyone, I think where we are all, at least I am where I'm at now, these last few years, is I opened up the Bible for the first time in my adult life and just started trying to live the biblical aspect. And when I started doing that, Tamara mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, she's about to tap into it." She said she started living the biblical aspect and using that as her way of learning her energy and learning, feminine energy. That's the answer. Everything's in the book. Everything's in that book.
That's
everything. All of our lives, we were not we weren't taught how to be a woman from your mom, or if you weren't taught how to be a man because your daddy wasn't there. It's in the book.
That's right.
Word. And I've learned, I think that's the reason why it's taken me so long to be in a relationship. Not because I don't trust myself, but because I don't know myself. I don't know who Shelly is right now. So I'm starting to learn Shelly right now. I'm starting to like Shelly right now. I never used to like Shelly. I didn't know I didn't like Shelly until I started reading the Bible and realizing how I should have acted in my relationships with men, with women, how I should have been submissive, how I should have been more quiet and less trying to, like Camille said, fix everything. I'm a project person by nature. So I used to pick guys that were projects, fix them up, clean them up, get them all nice and right. And then they're off to the races and everyone else gets the glory while I'm sitting back there like, well, dang, I done built his credit up, built up everything, and so all of that leads me to 3 years ago, turning my life completely, 4 years ago, I'm sorry, turning my life completely over to God. Just saying, okay, I tried it the world way. I tried it my way. I tried it my mom's way. I'm gonna try it your way.
That's right.
And so his way has led me to be single for a very long time. I've learned to see red flags faster, Bobo can't step to me no more. Although you understand, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's just when you start really taking God for his word and just start using the word in the world, it changes things. You see things differently. You respond to things differently. There's times when people used to make me mad. I'd be like, that's it. I'm done. See ya.
Yeah.
But now, according to the Bible, we have to pray for them.
Yes.
That's right.
And even and all the more stick around with them and show them difference and show them the change. So I think all in all, well, it's great to talk about all these things and to hear everybody's, journey and where they're coming from. But again, I want to just tap into my sister Katambra when she said that when we start living that biblical aspect, when we really start using God at his word, you'll start seeing things a little bit different and it just becomes easy. It becomes
Mhm,
real
mhm,
easy to just be nice to each other, love each
mhm.
other, you know,
Yeah.
pray for each other, and just take things and be that Ruth, you know, that Ruth spirit. My
Yeah.
brother, man, I'm telling you, when he tapped into that whole Ruth thing, I've been riding that wave because I
Yes.
it's just it's such a simple thing, and we make it so big.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's just me. I think, like you, let me answer the question real quick. I trust myself right now.
That's good.
If I were to get into a relationship right now, I trust myself.
That's
I
good.
trust myself to make the right decision because I've done the work.
Yeah.
I've put the work in. I've you know, tapped into a different side of the Bible, a different side of God that I have a relationship with him.
That's
So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
know because I have a relationship with him, he's not going to lead me into the wrong hands.
That's
I know
right.
I no longer have to cry about my husband. I don't longer have to cry about, am I going to pick the right one? I'm going to pick the right one because I've done
That's
the
right.
work, and I'm
That's right.
still doing the work. So
That's right.
that's all I got
That's
to
right.
say.
You know, Shelley made me think about something else, even in the midst of that, is that sometimes when we have a lot of control on us, how many of you will admit that, I'll go to Camille, our guest. How many, Camille, can you even look back on a time where you may have saw that it was hard to trust God because that control had been on you so long?
Yeah, you know, when I was starting to go through a lot of things in my marriage, I lost faith in a lot of things.
Hmm.
I lost faith in things that I shouldn't have never lost faith in. I started getting into a dark space by myself. I started going back thinking like, who am I? You
Yeah.
know, why am I going through all of these things? Did I ask to be here? Was it
Mhm.
something around me that placed me in there? Was it something that I did to be there? And now at this point in my life, I sat back the other night and I was thinking, when is the last time that I really took time to open up my Bible?
Wow, that's good, Camille.
Do
Yeah.
I really know the word like I think I know the word? Like, what is my purpose? Do I know my purpose?
Mm.
Do I really you know how you're around a lot of people and they can quote scriptures
Mhm.
and you can relate to it, but
Right.
if you think about it and you're really not in tune with God like you should be, you can't do the same thing. And you want to do it so bad. Not that I have to exactly quote it,
Right.
but at this point in my life, I should know more than what I do.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
the only solution to that in my life at this point is the same way that I take time to get up and go out to eat, the same time that I take time to pick up my phone is the same time that I need to take the time to tune in with God.
Yeah.
Same time that I need to take time to sit there and open up my Bible. If I'm just laying in the bed watching TV, I can open up my Bible.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the only way that I know at this point in my life, I'm going to succeed to the places that I need to be.
Yeah.
Without me putting God first and having that faith that I know I should have, I'm not going to get there.
Mhm.
And I was talking to one of my friends today and I was like, I really don't know the Bible like I think I know the Bible. Like, I really don't know who I am. You know, I'm not in a place where I know I should be. And the only way to get there is to put that faith into God that he's going to put me and place me where I should be.
Yeah.
The more I open my Bible, I will know my purpose.
Right.
So that's that's the place where I am in my life right
Yeah.
now, just making sure that, I follow that path that I should be following. And the only way to get there is for me to be more in tune with who I am and who I am, in God's eyes. God had a plan for me before I was even here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for me to figure out that plan myself, not just actually the plan, but to know that there's more to it in life than just, going on day to day without knowing the word is not
Yeah.
going to place me where I should be.
Amen. Amen. Camille, I want to kind of go. One of the reasons that I invited Camille on with us with this is, we've been talking about masculinity versus femininity, and Camille is already on the other side of the track where many of us want to get to eventually, and she's married now. Sometimes it's kind of like what Camille said. She went from one relationship to another relationship and almost mirrored the relationship with it. Sometimes we will miss a few steps along the way. And a lot of time, like she said, if you really don't know your purpose or your identity, it's very easy to get into things like that. Camille, would you say that even in your relationship right now, that it has caused you to really take a closer look as to what part you play in the relationship, and that it will cause for a more preparedness when it comes down to women wanting to be married, wanting to deal with others, because a lot of times we can marry men, they don't know their purpose either. And then we're mixed up in a mixing pot, and it's like we're fighting the energies, and we don't even know what the energy is in the house, and it leaves a big old ball of confusion that's there. So kind of talk to us a little bit about, how that has kind of played out in your particular life. And I don't know where I want to go with that. I'm just trying to pull out the energy that's somewhat masked behind. I think that's the only thing I can say is kind of masked behind, and then only to get into a relationship and have to unmask, and then get there and realize that I may not know what it is I'm supposed to be doing in this relationship. I think I can leave it kind of right there.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll start here. So when I was going through the process of getting a divorce the first time, my emotions were so all over the place where I started seeking counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So I started seeking counseling, and I talked to a lady maybe about 3 or 4 weeks. And I just felt that what I needed, she could offer it to me. But she did tell me before our last visit, she said, if you don't take time for yourself for a year or 2, because you're so emotionally damaged, you will jump back into the same situation again or worse. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was young. So when she said it to me, I overlooked it. Mm-hmm. My mind was in 50 million places. I didn't take the things that she said. I didn't take them in, and I didn't listen, basically. So what I did was exactly what she said. I jumped back into something because I was so emotional. I needed someone to come in and fill a void for me that I thought was being filled the correct way. So as I jumped back into it, there were red flags, but I overlooked the red flags. Mm-hmm. And the red flags in this marriage really, to me, were worse than my first marriage. But I wanted it so bad to the point that I stayed in it and I dealt with it. And so me staying in it and dealing with it, it only got worse. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I started seeking for help again. Yeah. And my help at that time was seeking to get to know, what is my purpose? Is this really where I'm supposed to be? Like, really, who am I? Mm-hmm. And so I started going through a depression stage. I started going through anxiety. But at this point in my life, when I go back and look at it, I have to hold myself accountable. I have to hold myself accountable because I saw the red flags. Mm-hmm. I overlooked it. So I made myself in an emotional situation that I really didn't have to put myself in, because we could have just been dating. We could have continued to be friends, get to know each other, mm-hmm. get to have an understanding with each other, mm-hmm. figure out if we don't agree with each other, how can we balance it out? Yeah. Can it even really be balanced out? Just because I'm going to say it like this, just because you're in a marriage or you're in a relationship doesn't mean that's really where God wants you to be. That's right. He can place you in things to just send you through those things so that you can learn from it. And when you go into something else, you don't you're not the same person, and everything does not remain the same.
Mm-hmm.
But in my marriage with my husband, I love him so much. I did what I had to do to balance it out. I did what I had to do to make it work because I didn't want to be divorced. But I had to get him to understand if we're not going to understand each other, if we're not going to have balance, if we're not going to be able to build and grow together, if we're not going to love and respect each other, if we're not going to be able to communicate, if we can't make up before we go to bed, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
And the only solution to it is working together. You understanding where I'm coming from, and I'm understanding where you're coming from. And it took me to learn I have to step back, be slow to speak, quick to listen.
Yeah.
Understand that he is a man. I can't degrade him as a man because then here I am making him feel less than what he is. Anything that he has done in the past, I don't bring it up today.
That's right.
If I'm going through something, we talk about it. If he's going through things, we talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to keep clashing and going through the same thing, because if we love each other so much,
right,
we're going to do what it takes to make it work. So we seeked out to Miss Marilyn several times. We learned some things. We went through some things, but she only can give you so much information.
Yeah.
It's up to you to take it in and learn from it.
Right.
That's right.
That's anything, that's anybody. So my perspective of being in a marriage, getting ready to be married, just sit there and think about it. Would you marry yourself? Would you marry the person that you are today?
That's good, Camille.
That's real good.
Wow.
If I was dating me 5 years ago, I wouldn't marry me. If I was dating me now, I would date me because I'm in a more clear head space. My heart is right.
That's good.
I walk in the confidence that I have today. I have more strength in my heart than I have ever had before.
It does.
So I would just say that to anybody that's dating, would you date or marry who you are today? Make sure that you hold yourself accountable for the decisions that you make. Hold yourself accountable for the things that you put yourself into. Make sure that that man loves you more than you love yourself. If you can't do it, can he do it? If he can't do it, will he make sure that it's done? Does he love his mother? Does his mother love you? If you're with a man and his mother don't like you, we got a problem from the beginning.
That's right.
I've been there. I've been through it. You can't make somebody's mother like you. If it's jealousy and envy, we got a problem. If a man don't respect his kids and his mother, if he don't have a good relationship with his baby mamas and his mother, it's a problem.
Speak.
Speak, yes.
I'm not gonna just say that kids are extra baggage, but when you get into relationship with men that have kids, it has to be a balance between him and his kid's mother. We can't come in trying to take over. That's not our place. See, one thing as a stepmother, I have learned my lane.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane. If my stepkids need me, I'm always here. But I don't indulge in things that does not pertain to me. And it's a lot of men that have kids. I get it. I just want to be a bonus mom to you. I'm my husband's backbone. When he needs me to step in, that's when I step in.
Right.
But I want to make sure that he has a good relationship with his kid's mother, good relationship with his mother, his family, because I want all of us to be one big happy family.
Right.
So it's just a lot to think about. It's things to take notes on, things to think about, things to pray about. Just make sure when you're going into it that it's clear. You have clarity, it's understanding, and balance and understanding and communication is just the key to it. It's no way around it. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
That's all, Miss Marie.
That's good, Camille. That's good. Those are life lessons that Camille is speaking on now. You know, because you know, to ask that question, would you marry you?
That's right.
Not are they gonna marry me? Would you marry you? That's a deep one there, you know, and I think sometimes when we go through when God puts us in those timeout places, and singleness can sometimes be a timeout. It's a time where you get to know you, get to enjoy you, you know, do you like going out to dinner? I think somebody said it the other day about taking themselves out. It was somebody in our class, I think it was Kamisha, you know, somebody in there said it, you know, do you take your own self out to lunch?
Yeah.
You know, you want somebody else to, you know, to do it, but do you take your own self out to lunch? You know, just a lot of things that we could learn along the way. Anybody want to kind of share along that vein with Camille? That's a sensitive time, and Camille, we cover you right now, you know.
That's right.
Because in marriages, you know, it's kind of like what we talked about at the beginning of the call. It's ministry. And anytime that you are serving in ministry, you're up under attack. Your marriage becomes under attack. That's why we have to get up under the covering of God, because he said in Psalms 91 that there is a place called safety that is there. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You know, and it's like it's hard to be able to relate to anybody when we can't relate to God and me.
That's right.
If I can't get along with my God, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to get along with other people. Anybody want to kind of share on that tonight? Or anything else that, you know, may have been said tonight that you want to kind of piggyback off of? Are any of you relating to what Camille is talking about? That's the first thing. Anybody relate to that?
Yes. You know, a lot is being said, and it's so much truth, and it comes from a place in our hearts when you open and know thyself and don't fool thyself. That's the worst thing you can do, is try to fool you, because you can't get away from that. And some of the thoughts that come to my heart and mind at this point is this. You know, we was talking about a lot of people live in their head. Now, what I'm saying with that, that's reasoning. As you spend time with God, as Shelley was saying, you raise your vibration, Marilyn, to a whole nother level. So when people want a reaction out of you in a higher dimension, we allow the spirit man to take control. And that's the species. I'm not talking male only, I'm talking the species. We raise that vibration and we start to live through discernment, because the spirit person has come. We serve the higher dimension of us. And you said, will that be tested? Yes, it will be tested. You was talking about that earlier. But when the tests come, understand that person that may be insulting you or whatever, that is your greatest teacher at the moment. Because it'll allow you to know, maybe I haven't got to the growth I need to be. Maybe can I show grace? Can I show mercy? Can I show that in the mix of the antagonism right in front of me? I'm being antagonized.
That's good, Joe.
But can the new person come in with grace? You know, sometimes you may even have to touch that person to calm the situation. Can I do this? Because grace is the power that comes in to change your situation and carry us with it to a better place. Can I do that? That allows me, If I can't, that allows me to say, I haven't grown to where I thought I would. So I need to go back and spend chunks of time with God and get to this. So that teaches us in the classroom of life. That's teaching. And all of this is the classroom of life where we learn. Sometimes we have to do this. We have to unlearn the learn and die to ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Unlearn
good.
to learn. Because sometimes it's a false sense. We fall through the raw material to get to the true you. Who is the true you? The true you essentially is divine person. You know, DNA is divine, and the true self is who we are in God and God only. To get to, that's our true self. That the part about purpose, we never, long as we're breathing, we have purpose. Sometime, and I'm true of that, I don't think we can be 100% spiritual. I said that before. I don't think nobody can, to be honest. If we were 100%, why do we need Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior?
Wow.
We are inherently imperfect. It says that in biblical truth.
Amen.
So every sheep need a shepherd. And that's what we are. Every sheep need a shepherd.
You know what, Joe?
Anyway.
Joe, think about this. It was something you said, cannot show grace and cannot show mercy. And the moment you said that, it reminded me of, you know, you in the master's program in the relationship, when you can get to grace and mercy, you beyond where you finishing up your undergraduate, you in the graduate school.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, this is when you finally at a place to where, you know what, I think I can teach somebody else how to do this thing now.
That's
you know?
right. Yes,
and that's what love does. Love,
yes,
love
it does.
suffers, you know, long. It does not, is not, you know, hasty in its approach. It's we're in the master's program. And I think that's where we're all striving. We're no longer trying to just get the prize, trying to graduate. You trying to go on to higher ed or higher ed or upper class, but you know, Miss Faith, were you saying something, or what are your thoughts all around this?
I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, hello, you know, awesome conversation. I had to break away for a second to take a call, but I was just thinking, Camille, well, first of all, Camille, thank you for being so transparent about you and what you're going through, and definitely covering you as you go through and walk down this journey to victory. You're already in victory, to just be able to communicate and find your voice. You know, I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome. But when Joe was talking, what I was thinking about, I said, yeah, you're right, Joe. I think that through every circumstance that we go through, either it be a light affliction or if it's through pain, suffering, or whatever, I think that we are peeling ourselves off to get to that core of who we are. And as you know, like Camille was saying, would you marry yourself? Would you date yourself? But as you go through those experiences and you walk through them and you overcome them, you find more the essence of really who you are based on your choices, based on the decisions that you make. And so, you know, and we sometimes we learn early in life, and sometimes we learn later in life. And I think that all depends too on the experiences that we have.
Yeah.
And if we allow them to happen, you know, because sometimes, like Camille says, sometimes you're in situations, I believe it was Camille, situations because you're finding out something, or you're learning something. It might not be exactly what you want it to be, but maybe God, you know, you went down that road and had a detour because you had to learn something at the detour.
Yeah.
You know, about yourself.
That's right.
Relating with someone else in any situation. It could be a relationship, friendship, a work relationship, any, you know,
That's
anything can apply that too. So yeah. So to boil it all down, I think that I don't care what age we are, as long as we're on this earth, we are continuously finding out more about who we are.
Amen.
Mhm.
Amen. Amen. Faith.
We
Yes.
expand our capacity
Yes.
to be more purposeful, to be more focused, to be more accurate and strategic in what we do as we walk, and we know, you know, we have those like Marilyn used to say, put a pin in it.
Yeah.
You put a pin in it right there.
That's right.
And you keep living.
Come back to it later.
And you on top of that, you know, you pick that pin up and move it on over here, boom, you know. So you have these pins that you put in life, because sometimes we really can't deal with it at that time.
That's
You know,
right.
we have to sit in it for a while and process it and evaluate it, you know, and then make the decision, you know, or make some type of conclusion to the matter, or resolve. You know, sometimes we have to resolve some things. We have to resolve the matter and say, hey,
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it hurt. It might
Yes.
But you gotta resolve the matter and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is where I'm going. You know, and you gotta keep going. You can't get stuck.
That's right. That's right.
Faith, I believe even when it comes down to you know, being in a relationship, that's the ultimate goal, is to eventually get to that relationship after you have, I think Faith said, you hit those detours in life and you get them crossroads, and you know, you can't get to what you can't go past whatever, you know, before you, you know, master whatever this thing is here. And it's a good indicator that you're ready when you get to the crossroad and you meet somebody at the crossroad and both of y'all pass the test.
That's right.
Now that's that part.
That part right there.
That part right there.
Right.
Passing the test. Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, because both of you were on separate journeys in life.
Yes, that's
and because you're all walking an individual path, but it feels good. And I'm saying that to say, don't run away from trouble.
That's right.
But look at when you get to trouble, what happens? Do y'all pass the test? Or are you having to go back through the school of life? And if y'all can hit that crossroad together and say, oh Lord, I learned to shut my mouth. When you Lord, I let quiet confidence be my strength.
When you said that, I literally saw it. You know, in school, I know some of us have been through math and geometry, but I actually saw an intersection.
Yeah.
I actually saw two rays crossing each other, and it's not how far they're going, but it's at that point in the middle where they meet, that intersection right there. And you know, you can either choose to sit there and learn, or you can fight or flight. You can flight, you can go away, but you're gonna come there again.
Yes, you are.
You know, in some form or fashion. But yeah, if you can make it through,
that's right.
Trust God. You know, trust God through it. You know.
One of the things I noticed is that sometimes, and I'm thinking, I'm at that crossroad where Faith is talking about, and what happens when masculine meets masculine at the crossroad?
Wow.
Somebody gonna have to drop into some femininity.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it don't make no difference if you the male or the female. And it's called humility.
I'm about that too, Mel. I'm at that. Okay.
Some days it'll be the day to where, because we have learned some certain things in life, it's called survival. We've learned how to survive. But what happens when you get to that crossroad and you have to decide, do I bring the masculine energy in, or do I let that femininity cross us on over? You know, that to me, that's when it's like, Lord, I'm learning. I ain't gotta put up my dukes all the time.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And one of the best ways to learn that is when you run into two masculine energies. It's like, I'm used to having my way and you used to having your way too. And either we gonna fight it out, or the Lord's presence is gonna show up.
That's right. That's right.
And you want the Lord's presence to show up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
That's true. And you know,
Yeah.
it's a place of humbleness as well.
Yes,
It is. It is.
You know, where yeah, I have to check my, I said, okay, Lord, when you have Christian conversations, you know, and you like, okay, at one point, I wouldn't be so humble to sit there in it and really say, okay, Lord,
Right.
how should I handle this?
Ooh,
I just
yes,
I just go on, you know, I'll just say whatever, you know, or
forget you then.
I didn't hear you.
Forget you then.
Yeah, or whatever, you know, whatever that is. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
you know, I prayed and I said, okay, how to handle this. I had to watch how to do it, how to start the conversation. If I were going to start, I had to get the green light to go. Okay,
Yeah.
got the green light. Then you have to have the right atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then you have to have the right tone in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then in the level of your voice.
Yes.
And then you have to listen. And
yes.
you can't cut off.
No.
You know, you have to hear the whole conversation or the whole message before you react.
Yes.
Then how do you react?
Yes.
That's good.
Because when you react, you can either turn them off or on or off.
That's right.
You know
That's right.
saying? And guess what? Everybody right here, they taking data. Okay. Let's see.
Everybody.
Let's see how we get. Is she gonna go off on me? Is she gonna shake her head? Is she gonna roll her neck? Is she gonna you know, how is she gonna react? Is she gonna treat me in an honorable state?
That's right.
You know, with respect, you know, and still get the point across, but do it in a whole nother way.
Right. Yeah.
And I did that. I was really proud of myself.
Yeah.
I did, but I said what I had to say, and it was received.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, Faith, you got to play that out of your mind before it happens.
Yes, that's right.
You really got to play it out in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to visit that place called peace in your mind quite a few times, so that what they say, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. And so I think a lot of us are having to go through preparation stages and stop waiting until we get up on a situation and then responding, but start preparing in your heart what is the right thing to do when we come upon situations like that.
And not only that, Marilyn, not only that, Joe, and everybody else on the line, even with that, you have to sit in it before, and you also have to kind of get ready in your heart, even if you go through all those stages that I said.
That's right.
What if you don't hear what you want to hear?
Right.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
How am I going to respond?
How am I going to respond? And then after you leave that setting, how you going to deal with what the response was?
That's right.
That's right.
What if you have two doors? You got open door, you got exit door. If the Lord says, if the person said blah 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 blah, you go through the exit door. If they say blah blah blah, you go through the open door to the next
right,
stage.
right.
That exit door right there, even though you know in your heart, right, what God is saying, but your flesh is saying, I want to do something different.
Yeah. That's good.
But I think Faith, even in that, when that comes up, I think we have to step back and say, what part of me will be offended? Because the spiritual me cannot be offended. Are we there? Even in that, what you were saying, having the conversation, who's leading this? Is the spiritual man or the fleshy person?
Or the flesh.
Who leading this? Now, who has that answer? Because if you let the Spirit lead you, as you know, you have to stay in that to endure this situation, because understand that you may not get spirit back from the other entity. Because that probability is there. You may be at a place, but when it comes back, does it take you out of your true place, or is your true place not where you thought it was?
Wow.
Yeah, that's another place. Because you got
that kind of goes back. That goes back to what Camille was saying earlier. She was asking a question herself, how much do I really know the word?
Yeah.
If I'm not responding in the proper way, how much do I really know the word? And really, that's just a challenge to get us closer to the presence of God. It's not anything to make us, feel bad, about ourselves. No. It's really an invitation, And Joe, it made me think about something when you were talking about which one is going to answer, either the flesh or the spirit. And some people may know, well, how will I know which is which? In the Bible, in Galatians 5, it talks about the fruit of the spirit is love, is joy, is peace, it's forbearance, it's kindness, it's goodness, it's faithfulness. And listen, I was dealing with one of my couples the other night, and I said, sometimes we get into situations that cause us trouble when we go straight to 10. We don't go from 1 to 10, we go straight to 10.
Straight to 10, yeah.
But if you will train your mind when you get in a situation to go to 1 to 10, think about this. If you will use 1 to 10 as the fruit of the spirit, why are you mad? But the fruit of the spirit is 1, love.
Right.
All right, am I walking in love? You still mad, but you still got to ask the question, joy. Am I walking in joy? 3, am I walking in peace? 4, am I walking in forbearance? By this time, it'll calm that little hot head down a little bit. Am I walking in kindness? 5, am I walking in goodness? 6, am I walking in faithfulness? 7, am I walking in gentleness? 8. By this time, I'm like, man, I am the problem. And then am I walking in self-control? Because if I'm not, and you done bypassed all the fruit of the spirit, I guarantee you're gonna walk straight into the work of the flesh. And it says that the work of the flesh, it is immorality, it's impurity, idolatry, hatred, witchcraft, I'm gonna get you back, discord, jealousy, fits of anger, selfish ambition, dissension. You can ask yourself, the last time you got into a situation when you were at a crossroad of life, and that old masculine energy wanted to jump out of you, and something was trying to respond, which one was trying to take the lead?
That's right.
Was it the fruit of the spirit, or was it the work of the flesh? And you can tell which one is hovering all over you, it's embedded all in you, because whichever one you answer to the most is probably the one that's residing in you the most. So just picture it like a bottle of water, and just picture the works of the flesh as all of this. I got this bottle, and it's just a lot of blue, coloring that's in there. And my job is to get the work of the flesh up out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this clean water, and I'm going to start pouring the fruit of the spirit in there. Every chance I get, I got to get this hatred out of my house. I got to get it, this house here. I got to get it out of there. And the more I keep pouring water in it, like the blue ain't going nowhere, that means you need to put a little bit more of the fruit of the spirit in. Because once you start pouring the purity of the word within, you got to get in the word to find it out. The more you start pouring it in, the very moment that you hit those crossroads in life, and life wants to tell you ain't gonna never have this, and people try to tell you, girl, you ain't gonna never be nothing, but I'm gonna keep on pouring the fruit of the spirit. I'm not gonna jump and clap back at you. I'm gonna keep pouring the fruit of the spirit in. And sometimes that has just quietness. Sometimes you can't respond. Sometimes it's not best to give an answer right now. Because right now the work of the flesh is trying to lead this thing. And my ultimate goal is to clear that a bottle out and get that out of there. And sometimes it calls for us as individuals to sit back and allow God to cleanse us in the spirit with that. And sometimes, like Faith said, we got to hit a detour in the road. And sometimes God got to put a pin in it. So that he can come back and deal with us at another time, because your desires will come back again. And the next time your desires come that, Lord, I want this in my life, and something stopped me from getting there, all of a sudden I start realizing the next time, before I go straight to 10, I'm gonna go 1 to 10.
That's right.
And I'm gonna let the fruit of the spirit work itself out. And before long, it'll put you straight to sleep. Instead of keeping you up all night, it'll put you to sleep.
Oh,
and resting in God.
That is true. That's
You
true.
know what, Marilyn, when you were saying that, I was just thinking about it. Even in those crucial conversations that we have that might not be the ones you want to have, the difficult ones, you might just have to have that conversation and then allow God to minister to you and the other person before you pick it up again. You know,
That's right.
Before you conclude the conversation. It might have 4 parts in that conversation.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
or, you know, as God ministers to you, then, you know, he'll allow to open that door to be able to go a little further and dig, go a little deeper. Because that first conversation, you might just be getting the surface. Because it might be some deep roots that might need to be dug up in
That's right.
both people, you know, both persons, or either just yourself or the other person. And we have to allow the Holy Spirit to, you know, to minister, you know, to us in order to receive that surface first before you can go deeper.
You know, Faith, one of the things, and Joe, I'll let you take over. One of the things that I have learned to do, one, I keep the word of God in my ear all throughout the day. I keep ministry in my ear all throughout the day. And I give God time to minister, because there are some times to where I have found myself in situations in life, and I'll keep the word in, and then all of a sudden God will send somebody. They'll call me, or they'll send me a text, or they'll send me an email, or I'll get a gift in the mail or something, just to distract you from whatever that was. And because, like they said, sometimes it's other things that's up underneath, like, does anybody love me?
Or do I know what love is?
Do I know what love is? You know, does anybody understand my story? Does everybody hate me? See, sometimes we still dealing with a whole lot of issues that have never been resolved. And sometimes when something hits you hard enough, sometimes it could be as simple as getting some rest. You haven't slept in a while.
That's
You
right.
stayed up in warfare for a long time. And sometimes you just need to give yourself some rest so that you can think properly. And you'll be amazed at how a lot of times when you wanted to fight and somebody didn't want to fight with you, it was an answer to your prayer. Because everybody's not going to clap back at you.
That's right.
You know, something, another thing just hit me when you were talking. You know, we were talking about love, and I forgot the sister who shared, the first sister who shared about how her mom took care of her, and how she didn't really respond to love all the time by emotional, you know, like hugging or whatever, but she did everything that she needed to do in order to take care of her, you know, her, I think it was her and her brother or her siblings or whatever. And, you know, with that, I'm coming to find out that everybody's love is different.
That's right, Faith.
And not only different, but sometimes we value love based on other people's relationships. And that might not be all the time. I know we need wisdom and we need, you know, role models and things like that, but don't discount someone. Like, for instance, I'll give a good example. You know, I told you I was going through a lot of situations with my son. So my friend was pouring into me how to handle the situation, giving me some nuggets on how to deal with his psyche, with his mind. I'm the mama, he's a man, how to deal with him in a way that he won't see me as mama, he'll see me as wisdom, see me, you know, trying to help him get whole. Now, you might not say that that's love, But to me, that's love. Because it took the time, to pour into me, to help me in an area where I'm weak or I might not have the information. And just to take that time to give that to me was so valuable to me, to help me walk through that, that whole season and come out not being in a psych ward or whatever. Or
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Because it was really deep. It's really deep. Even to this day, it's still some little residue that's, going on. But for me to be where I am right now, someone might not say, well, that wasn't love, because we value love with sometimes materialism.
That's right.
We value love by, oh, I got roses, I got that, or I got this, something that you can actually tangible.
That's right.
All right,
That's
Joe.
right, Faith.
Something, tangible. So, I think we need to, look at things and maybe they can't, maybe they're not at that place to actually show you emotionally based on maybe experiences that they have. But whatever they can give, we need to value that and appreciate it, so it will open them up to blossom, to maybe get to that place where they'll be able to touch, or they'll be able to speak it, or what, in different ways. But that might be just the way that they know.
In fact, that is a good point for us to close on tonight. When we're talking about, just having those conversations around masculinity, and what we're trying to do is whatever we don't need, don't hold on to it. Don't keep it, especially if it's just a mask or a cover up or whatever. But while we're moving those things, we got to get something in to cover our heart, and I think the thing that covers your heart is perfect love.
That's right.
Is understanding that people, if you notice tonight, everybody's got a story.
Yes.
And we haven't heard the half of the stories.
No.
Everybody's got a place of origin that everything started from, and everybody's unfolding. I listened to Tina when she talked about her mom, but Tina never said that her mother never loved her.
Right.
She just said she showed it different in life, which made Tina show it different. Mrs. Camille, she never said her parents didn't love her. They just showed love different. And then when she came into company with someone, all she knew how to do was take that kind of love to them, only to realize that was not that person's love language over there, because they don't identify with what you're talking about,
That's right.
If you want to give it to me, I'm going to take it, because I ain't used to nobody giving me that kind of stuff anyway. But we misinterpret love because we see love from our own angles. And I think all of us tonight, as we leave, I challenge you to go back and look at your heart and see what you got left.
That's right.
Out of everything else you've poured out of everything else that's gone on in your life, what do you have left?
Yes.
I still got that remnant. It's like what Joe said while his mother was passing away. Joe said she could see him and he could see her. They having to let go of each other right now. But what she did leave is a piece of her heart in Joe. And Joe spreads that everywhere he goes. And I want you guys to think about, out of all the losses, all the things you've gone through, all the stuff you had to put over you, what you got left? What you got to work with? I got the remnants. See, God never leaves us without anything. It just depends on what you call valuable and what you call meaningful. And love is going to be the key for it all. And listen, after all that God has done for us and covered us and protected us and didn't tell all your stories and didn't tell when you didn't do the right stuff, the least we can do is give somebody else that same type of love and that same type of credit. Because listen, what you make happen for others, you better believe God gonna make it happen for you. Yes. So if you don't receive anything else tonight, except for the fact that you still got something inside of you, and you can make the exchange tonight. I feel like I'm making an altar call, but you can make the exchange tonight to change yourself and to think, you know what, God, after all that you've done for me, Lord, my soul still says yes. I still want
Oh,
those
yeah.
things, but Lord, can I make an exchange? All that stuff that got dumped on me and maybe the way I looked at it. Lord, can we just change? Can you just take that stuff and give me the stuff that you really wanted me to have? You know, get me in a safe place so that I can love my neighbor, right?
Yes.
So that I can put myself in a position to where I can be loved, where I can receive love in a relationship. Lord, what you got left? Can you just endow me with all of that love? And I guarantee if you'll just think about those now, you'll go to bed with a lighter load. I guarantee instead of going to bed worrying tonight, you'll go to bed with some rest, because it's that love that's gonna put you straight to sleep. But God, that's what puts me to sleep when I get into situations like that. When the Lord get over by the time he get through talking to me, that's all right, God. I'm all right.
That's right. And we
Mr. Joe,
learned
what are you finna say?
I say, and I just wanted to kind of piggyback off what you, this is a statement that I think is very divine. Divine love will meet every human need.
Yes, Lord.
Yep.
That's a statement
divine
to live by.
Love.
Yeah.
And you know, I was just thinking too, if you feel that, you know, you don't know how to do it, just ask God to give you a heart transplant.
That's right.
Just hey, say just like we do in the natural, people go in and have surgery on that heart. Just say, Lord, just please just do a heart transplant on me.
That's right.
Just pour your love in my heart right now, the existing heart that I have, and transplant and take out what is not there, that is not of you, and engulf it with your love.
That's right. That's beautiful.
Pour in me a measure of grace. Joe said it too. He talked about, you know, about that grace and mercy. Lord, elevate me. I need to get up out of graduate school. I said I didn't know if I want to go to this next level, but I think I do. I think I need some graduate classes.
Absolutely.
And graduate school, listen, ain't nobody holding your hand over there.
No. And another thing, Marilyn, grace and mercy are anew every day. Extend it to yourself first.
Come on.
From God. Then you're able to extend it to others.
Right.
Every day.
Right.
And that takes focus and steadfastness in seeking the things of God. And I'm gonna pass the mic.
And you can do it. What I said, everybody say it together. You can do it. You can do it.
Wow.
Well, guys, we want to say thank y'all for joining tonight. I know tonight, every now and then, you know, we got to go in and uproot some stuff, you know, and go and deal with the heart of the matter, because some of us got stuck up on that exam and we were about to turn around and flunk that class. But it's something that God wants to come and say, steady yourself. You know, remember what I've taught you. You got what it takes. So you got to put that inside of you before the exam comes. You already got what it takes. You got your lifelines that you can call. But whatever you do, remember that I love you in spite of all the things that you're going to go through. So my prayer tonight for all of us as we go to bed, that thing is over. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. And as a matter of fact, God, if it ever have to come back again, Lord, let me recognize it and let me go on and humble myself, because it took too long to get out of it this time. And I want to go on and make it through this thing. Next, Lord, what would you say you need from me? You just need a little bit more love. You just need a little bit more compassion. I need to stay at that crossroad a little bit longer. And not come out of that too quick.
That's right.
Lord, I'll stay right here. I'll be here. Amen.
Amen.
I just want to say thank you, y'all. It is 9 o'clock. I want to say thank y'all so much. Miss Camille, thank you so much for pouring out your heart. I pray that we have been a blessing to you as well, as much as you have been to us. And thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you so much for staying the course, because this too shall, I'm not even saying Camille's going through anything. The trials that she has been through, has taught her so much about God's love. And it also gives her the measure that she needs to learn how to love her husband, and also for her husband to learn how to love her the more as well. Mrs. Katambra, thank you always for your words of wisdom coming in and just, you know, just sharing with all of us the measure of grace that God continually shows to you all the time, and letting the world know if God can do it for me, I guarantee he can do it for you too. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Well, may the grace of God go with all of us on tonight. Give us sweet peace as we rest, as we lay down. Lord, let them angels come on and fight them devils for us in the middle of the night, and let us know that when we wake up in the morning, for joy is gonna come with us in the morning time. Amen.
Amen.
You guys be blessed, and we'll see you guys back again on Thursday night at 7 o'clock p.m.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night. Good night.